Hello, everyone. I'm going to try to do my best to make this really channeled and as heartfelt and communicated as possible. There might be moments where I'm quiet. I really don't want to be speaking from my mind, from my ego. I want to allow spirit to speak through me. I want to allow the heart to speak on this very delicate matter, which is this. I just made a post. Just the last post that I made that is really just revealing a lot of tension that's here between the feminine and the masculine. And this is something that's really been revealed to me in my path and in my work, is that there's this deep wound in between the feminine and the masculine. This is not something that's like, it's just from generations ago is the inception of the wound or whatever. This is like a wound that goes back thousands of years, like thousands of years on a deep, basic level of our sexuality and relating with each other. There's been like an infringement on trust and feeling safe with each other, feeling safe to be vulnerable, feeling safe to actually be our authentic selves, to express in our bodies without shame. It's gigantic. And it literally gets to be one of these things that is when I'm only speaking from myself because obvious reasons, okay? Through my experience going into this wound, the more that I'm like, oh my God, if we're to heal this wound, if we're really to really face this collectively, and it's going to be really challenging, it's going to be uncomfortable, it's going to be painful, it's going to be triggering, there's going to be a lot of challenging emotions to work through, there's going to be a lot of tears, there's going to be a lot of grieving. And if we go through this together and we are able to heal this, it's going to change everything. It's going to change the world. It's going to literally change the very fabric of reality that we're relating with. Because the very core of everything is at the root, right? That's the most repressed vibration in the world, is sexuality. And that's where there's such a trauma in the feminine and masculine, is the way that that's been happening. And it just goes so deep. It's such a deep thing. And, I just feel called to touch on a couple of things with that being, is that, with the work that I'm doing with Lion, a lot of it is really like getting out of my mind and getting into my body. And, like allowing my body to move, losing myself in the feelings, and actually learning from them. This is the complete fucking opposite of everything that I was taught growing up. It literally goes against everything. Everything, we just think about it. We think about it, we think about it, we think about it. And this has literally transformed my life to the point of, like, even yesterday, I'm riding my bike home and I get caught in this thing in my mind of being afraid of the future, or feeling anxious, and my mind is creating this loop, and then I just stop. And I just feel my body, and I'm like, oh my God. Like, as I start to just move the feeling and just like move it, I'm like, my heart is hurting right now. Like there's like palpable emotion here. There's like, my body like needs to feel this, needs to process this, needs to move this. And what I'm learning, what I'm experiencing, is through my process of actually unleashing these emotions, allowing them to come up and process and be with them fully, to be fully present with them, even if it's craziness or screaming and crying my eyes out, just not directing it towards someone or dramatizing it or directing it, but actually just going into the process in a way that is just safe. And just, frankly, my animal body, allowing it to feel and move these emotions, like, it's healing me. It's bringing clarity. It's like, literally, Lion talks about this as like the process of anger is the second most repressed vibration on the planet. Last week I had an experience where I got triggered and I was just furious. There was this rage pumping through me and I was just holding it and just... And I had a brother of mine hold space for me, and I was just roaring and screaming, and then underneath that was deep sadness, deep pain. I was just crying and crying and crying. And then after that, he says there's this process, and literally I've experienced this at this point almost countless times, where through that process of after the tears, and then you breathe, and there's this, and then it's like clarity comes. And it's like whatever that pain, that hurt was that was underneath those painful emotions is like clarity. And it's like, oh my God, you know, it can be something as simple. I remember going to Ista with my partner Ellie at the time, and there was this moment where I was really feeling triggered by her for whatever reason, and we were together and we did some literally we were being together, and she just kind of, I just asked her if she would touch me like in this one area of my body and just like put pressure there or whatever. And it was just sort of like a vulnerable thing. And after that, I like was just crying and crying. And I had this realization of like, I was afraid. I was creating this relationship with her where I was possessing her because I was afraid of how much she loved me and how much she was showing up for me. I was afraid to show up in my life and hold space and love myself to the extent that she was for me. And I felt like I needed that, and it was creating a codependency. And these are the kind of realizations that happen in these processes. Usually it's like, oh my God. It's like a revelation of like how I wasn't loving myself, or how, you know, how I can love someone else, or how to see that this person loves me, or whatever it is, you know. And so I just want to wrap all of this up with just this real reality of just being able, just finding a place where you can just be safe to feel your emotions and process them without shame, and just to feel, and just realizing the matrix and the construct of the mind, and how it creates drama, and how it shames people and blames people, and you're the fucking problem. And what ends up happening is we create enemies, and we say, because you can't understand how I feel, you'll never understand how I feel. And then so shame you're the fucking problem, and you need to limit your expression of who you are and how you express yourselves so that you don't trigger me because it's uncomfortable. And what we're actually doing is we're continuing to suppress those emotions that are uncomfortable to feel, sexuality, anger, whatever it is, through shame, through guilt, through whatever. And we're creating separation in the world instead of actually being like, what is this emotion that's here? Why do I feel this way? What happens if I breathe into this, if I really go into the emotion, I allow myself to cry, if I allow myself to scream, to act insane, right? Just to roll around, just to let whatever emotion wants to come out. Like what's underneath that? What's underneath the mental of you're the fucking problem and you need to do this? You need to limit the way that you express yourself, or whatever it is, you know? And so I really just am coming forward with that to really challenge all of you, you know? And the way that I can say sincerely, I've been challenging myself and really going into this myself. And sincerely, I'm here for you. I'm here to listen, I'm here to understand, I'm here to feel, you know, within the boundaries of protecting my own sovereignty and freedom to express my authentic heart, you know, within respecting the you know, consent of others and boundaries of others, you know. So yeah, namaste to all of you, and I love you so much.